You just read out of it.
So I just did surgery on Danielle Cosgrove today. She called me and said that she's having an issue with her toe. She said that it looks like it's turning black. That's a telltale sign that we need to see the patient immediately and get her taken care of. So she's on her way here right now, and I'm anxious. Oh, man. You know, after surgery and you do all that work, sometimes a toe can turn white and you're not getting good blood flow to that area. The last stage of that is if the toe turns dusky or black. That can mean that the toe is turning gangrenous and there's no blood flow at all. So that is a red flag. Get to the doctor or call an ambulance because you do not want your toe to die or you might have an amputation. Oh man, Danielle, what's up?
You told me to come back if the
Sure, absolutely.
It's a little dark.
What's actually happening here?
I saw that it was dark, like black almost,
Okay.
purple.
Oh, does it hurt you?
No, it's not.
This is where it'll start coming up.
No, it's on there. We're late again.
The older generation has to pass the reins on to the next generation. Honestly, there's nowhere else I would rather be. Alaska, the Lost Frontier. Wednesdays, 8:30 on Discovery.
We'd do anything for our furry family. Like giving up the couch.
Just start talking about it and then we can upload it.
Luckily, Simparica Trio makes protecting them against fleas and ticks, intestinal
Tell the story.
worms, and deadly heartworm easy.
Hi everyone out there. This is my first podcast, so just bear with me. Just if you could bear with me, it's a bit new to me.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Press that notification bell.
And, the upcoming lives.
Huh?
The upcoming live streaming. So go start. I'll tell you a bit about it. So
Well, anyways, I'm here to tell you about my nightmare holiday in Bali. It was 2003, middle of 2003, and me and my brother were going on a holiday to dry out from marijuana and heroin. So we decided to go to Bali for 3 weeks to dry out. Well, anyways, the morning we had it all sorted out, and that the travel agency sorted everything out for us. You know, what day to leave, when we're coming back, and where we were staying, and whatnot. Well, we woke up. We were an hour late leaving to go to the airport. So we got to the airport an hour late, and then we went and stood in line, and it turned out when we got to the front of the line, we were standing in the wrong line for an hour, and they told us that we had to be up the other end of the airport. And when we got to the right gate where we were supposed to be, they said that that it was shut, and they weren't letting any more people back on. And she goes, just hang on a minute and I'll ring through to the main gate. So she rang through to the main gate and she goes, oh, you're very lucky. There's 2 seats left on a 747. And me and my brother got the 2 last seats. Something should have told us then not to leave, not to go on the holiday. Well, as we were flying over, it was beautiful day outside. You know, as we got closer to Indonesia, you could see all the small islands down in the blue water. You know, some little islands only had 1, 2, 3 palm trees on them.
3 hours in Australia.
It was roughly 4 or 5 hours from Melbourne. Anyway. we arrived in Denpasar, and we got off the plane. We went through immigration, and as we're going through immigration, all I could see was death penalty, death penalty, death penalty for any kind of drugs, even down to pharmaceutical drugs. Anything in the airport, they said, was instant death penalty. And we had Valium and Serapax and all that. And I got a bit worried, but we had letters from Australia, from our doctors, saying that we were allowed to take the tablets over because we were drying out from heroin and marijuana. Anyways, we got through the airport and we met up with our tourist guide. His name was Subaru. Anyway, he as he was taking us to our hotel, he took us around a few places and he took us past immigration. And he said there's been two boys in immigration for 9 months because of passport problems. They weren't in there for drugs or anything. They just had a passport problem. And they'd been in there for 9 months. Little did I know I'd meet these two guys 3 months later. Yeah. Anyway, we checked into the hotel and we hired some mopeds and we started riding around. We went down the beach and that. And we by this time we started hanging out for heroin. It's a hard thing to if you don't know what it's like, then I'll try and explain it to you. It's your body. Your body needs it to function normal. And if you don't have it, you become sick, and then you just be sick, and you just got no energy, and all you want to do is just try and sleep, but that's not what we wanted to do. Well, as we were walking down the street, checking out, we decided to go for a walk because to try and to break that feeling up. A guy walked up to us and asked us, "Do you want heroin? Do you need heroin?" And he must have realised the way we were looking, that we were starting to hang out. Well, stupid us said, "Yes, why not? Let's go." So we went there, and he goes, "Make sure that you only get me to take you." And then we started to think, is this guy ripping us off? Well, he wasn't. What happened was we met up with him again the next morning. Oh, sorry. We went and got it and had it, came back normal. And to the motel, had it, and were normal. We went out for tea. Then we went out to the nightclub. We got drunk. The next morning we woke up, went for a walk down the street to go and get some breakfast. Well, the same guy was running a shop with selling sunglasses and knickknacks out the front of a restaurant that did breakfast. Well, the more tourists he took in there, he got a fee, like a finder's fee for finding the tourists to pay for breakfast, And anyway, he asked us, or I can't remember if he asked us or if we asked him, could we go and get some? And well, we did the same thing. We went and we waited. We come back to the motel room, had it, and we're all fine. So we went out for a walk down the main street of Legion in Denpasar. Anyway, Kuta, not Denpasar, Kuta, Legion in Kuta on near Kuta Beach, and we wanted to hire a car for the day, and we seen a 4-wheel drive for hire, a Nissan Patrol. Little did we know it was an unmarked police car, and we hired it, and we drove around for the day, and that night we decided to go and score heroin again. I stayed in the car, and I was sure that one of the guys in the back was an undercover policeman. Anyway, we gave the car back the next morning, and we started riding the motorbikes along, around town and that, and just putting around the stores and window shopping basically. We brought a couple of BB guns and just bits knickknacks to bring back home, and what we started walking along the beach in the afternoon, and a guy, I was kicking an Australian football up the beach as we're walking up, and as we're walking back, I was kicking it walking back, and we could see in the distance this guy walking down with something in his hand, and it was brown, and whatever he was carrying, it was brown, and it was in plastic, and he asked us, did we want to buy hashish? Here's a pound of hashish. Do you want to buy a pound of hashish? Well, anyway, I'd seen the same package, and it looked like the same colour product that was in a shop that I'd seen, and it was like a mould, like you can mould like clay. And I said, go away. I said, it's not hashish. I said, we don't want hashish, go away. We don't want nothing to do with it, piss off. And he got sort of like didn't get nasty to us, but he showed us his disappointment on his face. Well, we got back up to the motorbikes, and we're riding down to that area in on Kuta Beach, and we got stopped by the police, and little did I know it was the same Nissan Patrol that we'd hired a couple of days beforehand, and after they charged us $200,000, 200,000 rupiah each on the spot fine, because they said we weren't allowed to ride mopeds on a car license in Indonesia. You had to have an actual moped license, and we had to pay that money for a couple of days, and we had to go down to the police station in a couple of days to get to pay for moped licenses. Well, as we took off and we started riding and that, we started slowing down for the pedestrians and that, because the main street had finished and it got to hotels and that. And this Yamaha 125 come up next to me, and he looked at me, and if looks could kill, I would have been dead 10 times over, and it actually scared me. It turned out he was an undercover policeman. We went back to the hotel, and we went and had tea, and we went to the nightclub again, and we met up with some Australians, and when I went outside, I seen these like 6 or 7 Indonesian men standing around in a circle, and they were going, "Hey, do you want ecstasy? Do you want ecstasy?" And I walked up to them, and I could see a little badge on them saying "police," "polisi," which means police in English, but polisi in Indonesian. And I spoke to one of the guys that we'd met. He was a surfer. They were all surfers, and he goes, "Oh no, they're not police. They're just, they're just security. Like making a bit of extra money. He goes, "Watch me. I'll go up and buy one." Well, he went up and brought one and had it in front of him straight away. So obviously they had to let him go. If he had walked away with it, then they could have got him and charged him with it. But over there, if they've got a suspicion that you're on drugs, all they have to do is arrest you and take you back to the police station and do a urine. And if drugs come up in your urine, you're under arrest for whatever drugs is in your urine, and you get charged for that. Not like over here in Australia. Anyway, we'd finished off that night, and someone tried to sell us drugs on the way back to the hotel. And stupid me decided, I said yes to my brother to buy them, and it turned out that the man had ripped us off. He'd sold us crushed up pills. Well, I got very angry, and I said to my brother, we had box cutters in our pockets for protection for ourselves in case someone tried to rob us, in case a group of Indonesians tried to rob us because we're foreigners. We had nice clothes on, we had gold around our necks, we looked nice, but we're out, we're on a holiday. We weren't thinking of the worst that could happen to us. Well, what happened was I went up and I punched a wall, and they must have heard it, and they followed us back to the hotel we were staying at 14 Roses. Well, the next morning we get a knock on the door, and it was a different Indonesian, and he goes, "Do you just want to go and get anything?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Do you want to go and get some heroin?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, all right, let's go." So we went, and we got it, and we're on our way back, and instead of him turning right, he turned left. I was following my brother on his moped, and my brother was dinking him, and I was on my own moped. And for some unknown reason, he got my brother to turn left instead of right. Well, just after we turned left, the road was blocked off, and he reckoned that it was for the Bali bombers. The road was blocked off for the Bali bombers, but I seen his arm going like shaking, like left and right behind his hands, shaking left and right behind his back, and I thought that's very suspicious. And the people that were at this same Nissan patrol again had shrugged it, like had their arms out like that, like what's going on, and well, we kept riding, and the next day he came to the door, and we went again for like we were weak, we were sick, we were weak, it wasn't the right country to go to to dry out from the drugs that we were on. That was a mistake. That was a big mistake on our part. And he took us, and that day we were that sick, we had it in the laneway coming back. Well, a guy walked around the corner and seen us, a big guy walk and seen us doing what we were doing. We were in the process of having it, and he spun out and turned around and walked back the other way. Well, it turned out that was the guy that was on the Yamaha 125. He was the undercover policeman, and we had that, and then we went back the same day, and he made us turn left again, and he did the same thing with his arm. Well, on the third day, he he begged us not to have it. He begged us to wait for the motel, so we waited for the motel, and he made my brother turn left, and the same thing again. Not long after the left-hand turn, the road was blocked off. It said road closed. And he got my brother to turn down the road. This time my brother did. Well, as he did, police jumped out from the trees and from behind the trees. Turned out there was about 15 policemen. Had all jumped out, and they went straight to my bum bag that guys used to wear in the early 2000s. This was 2003 anyway. And they went straight to where the drugs were, straight to the cigarette packets. So he told them, and they took my wallet off me, and I watched the man being paid $5 out of my own wallet. I swear to God that the man got paid one stick of drugs and a $5 Aussie note out of my wallet. And then I realised that what had been going on, and they arrested us and they took us back to the police station. They tried to say that we could buy our way out and that, but it was too late. In the end, it was too late for me to buy my way out at that stage. Well, I was that sick that they would let me take Seropax, but they wouldn't let me take the Valium. See, the Valium is illegal unless you have a doctor's note from a doctor in Indonesia. They spun out when they seen how much bottles of Valium that we had brought with us through the airport for ourselves to help dry out. And they wouldn't let me take the Valium, but they let me take the Seropax. And my brother was worried that I'd take too many. And when they gave them to me, I just tipped the whole bottle down my throat because I was that sick. I just wanted to stop being sick. Anyway, before that happened, as they were taking us away in the police car, I knew that we were in trouble. And I was in trouble because the drugs were found on me. So I presume we're both in trouble, but I was in trouble more. But it turned out that I had to go to jail because the drugs were found on me, and I convinced them that my brother didn't know anything about it, so they had to let him go. Well, not long after they gave me the Seropax, I started being sick. Was the water. Well, I threw up all over their computers, all over their paperwork. They just turned to computers in the last year, and I've thrown up all over their keyboards, all over all the paperwork they had. I was sick all over. I was sick everywhere by the bin they gave me, and I knew I was in trouble for that, And anyway, we worked it out that I'd go to jail and my brother would pay to get me out, because over there you can buy your way out if you keep your mouth shut. There's some people that have been on TV over there that have been caught for drugs and have been multimedia sensations throughout Australia. Well, they were fools. They may have money now, but they were fools because they got the maximum time. you could have heard all about me, but I kept my mouth shut because I realised that you could buy your way out if you kept your mouth shut, which I did. Yeah. Sorry, my mouth's a bit dry here, eh? Anyways, they took me to a leather couch and let me lay down for a while because I was very, very ill, and the Valium, the Seropax started kicking in, and I ended up getting woken up by the prison doctor, Dr. Denny Tong, and he gave me a thing called a Subutex. It's called it's called it's called something else here, Subutex, and I can't remember the name of it, but he gave it to me. He goes, I was a very lucky man because it had only been in the country for 3 days, and I was the first person in the country to be trying out this Subutex. Well, you have to put it underneath your tongue, and it dissolves underneath your tongue, and you don't swallow it. You just let it just go to your brain underneath your tongue because you got big major blood vessels underneath your tongue, and it goes straight to your brain. Well, it made me feel better, and I was lucky enough because he wouldn't give the whole packet to me. I was lucky enough for one of the policemen to volunteer to come and dispense them to me when needed. And yeah, well, I must have fallen back to sleep, and I got woken up around midnight in the freezing cold, and because I only had shorts and t-shirt on because we'd been there all day since the morning, like we were ready for a hot summer's a hot Bali day, and I was freezing cold. Well, they woke me up and they took me out to the truck to take me to the actual main holding cells of Denpasar, called Polterpest. Yeah, actually called Polterpest Police Station. Polter, they'd called it. And they took me there. And I was so cold, I asked them to let me in the back of the truck, and they wouldn't let me in. So I just opened up the door and climbed in, and they're laughing at me. They've got AK-47s in their arms, and they're laughing at me because I'm climbing in the truck willingly. And I got in there, and they took me to the, like I said, Polter Police Station. And they gave me a hard ride there. Trust me, they were going around corners, making me fall off the seat because I was on my hand. I was in the fetal position. When you're sick, hanging out, you tend to go into the fetal position, and it tends to help you a slight bit. It takes a bit of the cramping away. And they're driving hard around the corner and that, making me fall off the long bench that goes along the sides of the truck. And when they're going over speed humps, they'd go slow with the front wheels and then fast with the back wheels, and I'd go about a foot up in the air and then land back on the seat. Anyway, they took me to the cells and in Polter, and my brother actually tried to bring me a blanket that night. I heard, hey, tattoo man. They called my brother Tattoo Man because he had tattoos all over him. And I was too scared. He was yelling out. I was sure he was. I could hear him yelling out, Stephen. Do you want a blanket? You need a blanket. And he risked his freedom to bring me a blanket. And because he took it from the motel. Now they can arrest you from just even taking a blanket from the motel. Anyway, the day went, the night I didn't sleep too well that night, but I ended up falling asleep. You got to wake up at 6 o'clock over 5:30, 6 o'clock at the police station. Well, we woke up early and I started learning like the do's and the don'ts and all that. They wouldn't let me shave myself because in the police car, like I said, we had box cutters for protection, and we didn't have our box cutters on us. But when I pretended to be sick, if you've ever been in a Nissan Patrol, the back seat, you can put like sports bags and that underneath the back seat. Well, there was this single Bowie knife in a sheath underneath the seat of the police car, and well, I've pulled it out the sheath without the police officer knowing, and I've thrown it up in the air and I've stabbed myself in the wrist. And he was screaming, and they had to take me to hospital and give me antibiotics. Well, that's what the day we got arrested. The second night in the police station, I got woken up by a guy getting the shit kicked and punched out of him. He'd stolen a moped from a worker. Like he relies on his moped to get him backwards and forwards. Like, I'm not condoning thievery, people that thieve or anything like that. Don't think that. Everyone does what they do, if you do to survive. Anyway, they had shot him twice. Once through the shin, and it came out through the back of his shin, and they put the second one into his kneecap and shattered his kneecap. So the slug was still inside his kneecap, and I knew that it's gonna start festering. He would get gangrene and lose his leg. Well, at this stage, I still had 7 or 8 antibiotics left, and my arm had helped cleared up, because I'd looked after it, because it was a pretty deep wound. I almost put the Bowie knife straight through my arm and it almost came out the other side. Anyway, I looked after it, and it healed very well. So I decided that I knew that this guy was going to die from lead poisoning, or lose his leg, or start to go gangrene. So I pretended to take my antibiotics, but I was spitting them out as the guard turned his head, and I was giving them to the guy who got shot in the kneecap. And I said, if you want to keep your leg, I said, you take them, And well, this went on for a few days. It was routine. In the thing. I would there was 2 courtyards, one for laundry and one for sitting in. And the courtyard for sitting in had like the symbols for each religion, and it had the cross on it. One wall had the cross on it with Jesus, and I actually prayed for the first time in my life. Literally, actually, like prayed for real. And I asked him for a sign for to go home, because I knew we could buy our way out by that time. I begged to get as little time as possible, and for it to be as cheap as possible. Well, about 5, 6, 7 minutes later, I walked back out there, and there's a big giant kite stuck on the barbed wire over the roof. It wasn't really a roof because you could see straight out into the clouds, but it had barbed wire in it. And I asked everyone, I said, how often does this happen? And they go, it's never happened before, ever. Well, I'd got my sign. I thought, I have my sign here. And anyway, I was taken to the police station. The prosecutor's office, where I was asked further questioning and that, and why I had so many. I said because I'd been using drugs half my life, and I needed it. By this time, they said that they came in straws, like 1 inch, sealed off at each end. They were burnt at each end. And the heroin was inside the straws. Well, one of them was empty, and the guy took one, so there was 8. And he asked me, how many would I take in one injection? And I said, all of them. And he didn't believe me. And I said, give me here, I'll show you. And he spun out. He ended up believing me that I'd have them all in one injection. Well, then we got taken out to a room no bigger than 3 meters by 3 meters cell, small holding cell, to go back to the prison. Well, we were that bored, we started singing. This French guy called Fifi, he was French, and we started singing. And for some unknown reason, I started singing Hotel Copacan, Hotel California, which turned into Hotel Copacan. And the people that had the shop near it could all hear me singing, and they were all laughing, and they all thought that I was a real joker. And I just wanted to get back to the jail, for some lunch and that, for some dinner, because you can order your dinner if you got money. Money talks, bullshit walks over there. Like you can order in a pizza, you can order McDonald's, you can order anything you want. I ordered a half a slab of beer one day, and I got that drunk. You have the guards knocking on the back windows, offering you Iraq, which is rice wine, which is 100% proof. It's flammable, put it that way, highly flammable. And other guards, they've all got their extra, like what do you call it? Like an extra earn. Their extra earn from there, because they only get paid $1 million a rupee a month for working in the prison, or it could be 2 million. I think the police get $1 million. The people in the prison get 2 million, and immigration gets 3 million rupiah a month. Don't ask me why, but that's just how it works. Everyone tries to make their way up to immigration because it's a high place. It's an easy place too. Anyway, we got after singing Hotel Copacan that many times, got stuck in my voice, and when we went back to the remind you, this is 2003. Before everyone heard of that girl that got caught with the marijuana and wrote her book and saying that she made the word Hotel Copacan. Well, that was a lie, because I have it written down in my diaries that I made that up. She screwed herself by letting Crazy Ron get on the radio and say that the police said if he pays them $80,000, they'll let her go. Well, that was her mistake for letting him represent her, because now you can't buy your way out of prison, because you can't buy your way out of prison. You got to keep your mouth shut, if you want to buy your way out of prison. That's why I kept my mouth shut. Anyway, I paid $55,000. My whole family put in what they could. They sold trailers, they sold a boat, they sold antique jewelry, which my mum had from my nana's mum, and some of my brother's friends threw in money, and so we had some saved up, and we sold a car that we had over here, and it turned out that I just had enough, and thank God. Anyway, the only yeah. Um, Yeah, where was I? Sorry about that. I've got a short-term memory loss. Um, I I was I was talking about how the police have their rorts. Anyway, the guy does banana fritters, and at night time his wife makes banana fritters during the day, and he brings them in after work and sells them to the prisoners. Well, the guards, like I said, money talks, bullshit walks. You can buy anything you want in that prison. You can even pay to go out for the day. I had worked it out to pay to go out for the day, but I wasn't allowed to because I was still too recognisable in the news. I was on the 6 o'clock news. I was on the radio for a week, and I was on their newspaper. Like I said, the only reason why I wasn't in an Australian newspaper was because I kept my mouth shut, and I told the Brian Diamond, the main immigration officer in Bali, not to tell Australia that I was in jail. He knew, so he knew that I was safe. That's all that needed to be done, and we worked our way out. We worked my sent like uh, at first I had the same lawyer as what that girl had. They got caught with the marijuana, and they wanted 30,000 US up front for me, and then they wanted another 30,000 US, and the fine would probably be 30,000 US. So that's 90,000 US dollars, which would have been nearly $180,000. Well, there's no way in the world we could pay that. Luckily, my brother had gone to the office. You have to go to an office if you want to visit a prisoner who's in jail in the police station. You have to go and see someone at a office, and I think that's where when I was started singing. I think he had to go there to get a card to come and see me each time. Anyway, he came and see me and brought me food every day, and then gave me money, and then about the fourth or fifth day, the policeman came and said to me, he goes, "Your brother's dead. Your brother's dying," and I didn't understand why. And he said they want to put him on a helicopter and take him back to Darwin for an operation. Well, I got really scared then because I was not only stuck there, but I couldn't do nothing for my brother. I couldn't do anything. There's nothing I could do. I could. We had a mobile phone. One of the prisoners had a mobile phone, so I could at least ring and that. And luckily, I got hold of him, and he said to me that they wanted to put him on a helicopter, and he wouldn't come back until the deal was done for me, for the amount of time that I'd do, for the amount of money we could pay. Anyway, it turned out that I had to pay $55,000 to do 3 months, and for what I got caught with, for the heroin I got caught with. Yeah, one guy over there, he got caught with 1 straw, and I got caught with 8. Remember that? And he got caught with 1 straw. He had to sell his rice paddy, his house, his car, and he still had to do 12 months. And no, none of them believed me that I only got 3 months when I got back. But when they were filling in the paperwork, they soon believed I got 3 months. And apparently, I hold the record in Bali, in Kobakan, for the least amount of time for heroin, because they can do you for a dealer as with 1 straw. Now, people were telling me that I was going to get the firing squad, and when they told me I was going to, when people were telling me that you're going to get the firing squad, you start to get scared. I will admit I was scared out of my wits. I, I was. Sometimes I cried at night, and not knowing what was going to happen to me. And I even started going to church, hoping that God would give them reason not to give me a long time or the death penalty or whatever. It turned out that the worst that would have happened was I would have got 20 years for what I got caught with if I didn't pay. And I was lucky enough to, like I said, at first I had the same lawyer as that girl that got caught for the marijuana, but my brother was coming to see me, and when he was at that office to get the piece of paper to come and see me, he ran into a New Zealander who was getting taken to the prison, and he put him onto his lawyers. They were Indonesian, but the lady was married to a guy, an Englishman, and he said the Englishman told her to help look after us. Well, lucky for me, my lawyer, she grew up in the same village as the main prosecutor of Bali, so I was sweet there. And then I found out that she went out for lunch and tea with exactly the same judges as what that girl that got caught with the marijuana. I think you all know who I'm talking about, but I can't say the name because I could be sued for copyright for mentioning a name that I shouldn't. Yeah, they all felt sorry for me. The main prosecutor felt sorry for me because I broke down in tears in his office and that. And he goes, well, "You're going to go home soon. You'll go home soon." And after I went to court, we're all on like a chain gang. We're all chained together, And when I got back and I found out I was only doing the 3 months, so I started learning Indonesian, and my brother sent me over a parcel from Australia with Chupa Chups and Redskins and some books and whatnot, some truck and life books, because once they found out I used to be a truck driver, they laughed at me, and because they thought that truck drivers never made any money over here. Well, they didn't know nothing. Anyways, I got taken out to the prison, and I was happy to be going out to the prison. And one guy, he started crying to me, and he's begging me to hold his money because he'd get robbed there when he got into the cell, because the cell right next door on the opposite side was called B1, C1, and there was about 30 or 40 men in one cell, You're talking about 4 meters by about 6 meters. That's how big it was. And all their toilets were concreted up. The prisoners have to pay to, they all have to chip in to get the septic tanks cleaned out, because once they're filled up, they start to overflow and they're putrid. And a lot of the cells have theirs concreted up because they can't afford to empty them out. Well, us foreigners, I was put in the foreigner section. My lawyers paid for me to go to the foreigner section, and I found out in the end the 20,000 rupiah that we all had to pay. The guy that was going around, he scammed us, and we didn't have to pay at all. If you could just hold on a minute for a sec, I'm really sorry. I just got to take my dog out. I'll be back in a second. Sorry about that. I just had to take my little girl. Here's my little girl here. Come on, say hello. Come on, darling. Say hello. Hello. Say hello. Okay, that's enough. Anyway, once I found out that I met some good people there, and it took a couple of weeks for them to realise I wasn't a prison plant like a snitch, and then I found out I could buy any drug I wanted to. Well, unfortunately, it got the better of me again, and I started buying heroin in the jail. Now, heroin in jail, how do you ask? You get? Well, the guards bring it in because they make money out of it. They even bring in the clean syringes, a box of syringes, and they make money out of that as well. So, they even let a guy who was caught with 112,000 ecstasy pills and enough powder to make another 100,000 with the hand grenade. He got caught with a hand grenade and a handgun. They gave him one of the old cell blocks to start a woodwork business in. Now he sells furniture from Bali all over the world, and he pays like 20 people to work from him in the jail, and he gives them like I think it's about 30,000 rupiah a week. That's it, and he get whatever he makes over there, he gives half to the prison, and then they divide it up between or everybody that works in the prison. See, because in Indonesia, you do not have to pay tax. There's no tax, such thing as called tax in Indonesia. Whatever money you make in Indonesia is yours. You do not have to pay the government anything. Anyway, I met a few people. I was lucky enough to be able to borrow a mobile phone each night, and I was eating quite well because I had money, and I had a Game Boy too. It was also, and that broke up the time, and in the end, I ended up getting a mobile phone every day. It cost me $1 a day to have a mobile phone in my pocket. One of the guys over there, he was Scottish, and he had a boat, and they were caught in Hong Kong, and it was in dry dock. His boat was in dry dock in Hong Kong, and when he got out of Hong Kong prison, they came straight to Bali and got caught with an ounce of hashish, I still don't get why they done that, and I think it's just unfortunate. Everyone works for the police over there. You know, they say if you escape and someone sees you escape, you know, you want they'll all bash you to death. You'll be yelling out for the police to save you. That's what they say. Anyways, I, uh, I'm doing my time, you know, and by this time I'm having there's nothing else to do besides watch movies. We had a PlayStation 2 in there with the guys that were doing life sentences were allowed to colour TVs and bits and pieces. And at the end of every month, the guards would come around and take the stuff off us, and then we'd have to pay to get it back. It was their kickback because they had run out of money for the end of the month. So we'd get the word that they were going to come around and do things like take things off us from the cells. Like even we were lucky to keep the element for a kettle, you know, to hot coffees in the morning, you know. And in the end, it got that monotonous for me. One of the guys I was locked up, he was a bikie. He had a Harley and he had to sell that, and his father had to sell one motel thing because he got caught with a pound of hash in one of his saddlebags of his Harley. I remember him going past me on about the second day we were there because he had a real long hair right down to his bum, done in a plait, and he was telling me about how he had his hair down to a plait and that, and he'd come in a couple of days after me, and it turned out that it was him, and so we became good friends. And he goes, you know, like we've got some tablets here that will knock you senseless. So and I didn't believe him. He goes, you buy me one, yourself one, and my mates one each, and he goes, if you're not asleep in half an hour, I'll give you your money back. And the game was on. You know, I was going to stay awake for that half an hour. Well, they took me into their cell, and I was playing cards with them, and my cards were turned around because they were playing an Indonesian game, and I didn't know how to play it, so they were playing it for me. And I'm sitting there battling to keep my eyes open. I'm going, Hal, what time is it? And he's going, oh, you still got 10 minutes left and that. Well, it got to about 5 minutes left, and I actually tapped out and said, keep your money. You know, I said, I'm rude. I'm gone. I'm a goner. I need to go sleep. You know, and as I went out into the sun, my legs started buckling and that, and then I felt two people on one side, and you know, and they carried me back to my cell, and that's when it all started. You know, like I'd have 5, 6 hits of heroin a day because it was very, very cheap there. You know, I only did it to pass the time mainly. You know, like I'd do it in the morning when I woke up because I needed it, and then I'd do it again at about 10:30, and then again 12, probably about 1:30, and then just before we got locked down, I'd have one just before we got locked down, and then the next day it'd start all over again. Well, we didn't have to do much there because we had our own maids. You know, like we'd paid prisoners to clean our cells and wash our clothes and things like that. Each cell in my section, in the foreigner section, had a maid for each cell. So there was 5 maids, you know, and I used to hide my syringe in someone else's cell, and one of the guys knew that I was doing that, and one of the new guy, once when the old guy left, who was cleaning his cell, a new guy came in and he seen me jumping down from the roof inside the cell, and he realised what I was doing, and I had to put it outside, and then it rained for 4 days, and I tried to get it out, and I couldn't. There was not much success there. I had to buy a new one. Yeah. Anyway, the guy that I went shared the same cell with, his name was Michael, and he got done for 4 pound of hashish in his scuba diving tanks in 1999. He was on 60 Minutes. He was a French guy. Maybe a few Australians out there remember that. He 60 Minutes interviewed him, and he was talking in English, and when he started getting angry, he started talking French, and I sitting when I got there, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, I know you, I've seen you from somewhere, and I said to him, I said, you were on 60 Minutes, weren't you? And he goes, how'd you know? I said, I seen you back in '99, and he laughed. Well, what happened? His mum went and asked for donations all around the world overnight, and she got a $4 million US donation overnight, and she went back to the police and said, um, here's $4 million, let my son go. They go, what are you talking about? You can't buy your way out of jail. And behind everyone's back, the man done a gunshot to her and goes, bang, your son's dead. And she was horrified. They worked it out. He had to pay 100,000 US dollars just to spend the rest of his life breathing life in that jail. Well, in the end, I spoke to my lawyers about it because they knew everybody. Like I said, I was very lucky that my brother ran into this New Zealander at that time, and I asked the lawyers, is there any chance? I explained to them who he was and that, and I said, is there a chance of him ever getting out? And they said yes. And I said to Michael, I said, listen, I want you to talk to my lawyers, and that way, look, they reckon that you can get out. I said, I don't want no money. I said, because everybody wants money for doing something for people over there. They want something. And I said, and the lawyers don't want no money, just to talk to you. And he said, okay. Well, obviously it worked because he got out about 8 years later. Anyways, I also met another guy, a Mexican guy, who made a surfboard out of cocaine. He used 22 pounds of cocaine to make a surfboard. And him and his wife left Mexico City, and because he'd cut out the middleman rang Interpol, and the Interpol rang the airline, and because he was on Air Paradise, the same plane that comes to Australia to pick us up and to take us for holidays, they're not around anymore. He started feeling the plane start banking a different way, and he knew, and then it come over the loudspeaker by the captain. This is the captain speaking. We're going to do a layover in Denpasar. Well, it was meant to land in Sydney. Now, this is how corrupt the Sydney officials are, immigration are in Sydney. He had $100,000 in a briefcase to let his surfboard go through. All he had to do was hand over the briefcase at the Sydney airport, and he would have got 22 pound of coke brought through. He'd done that many runs around the world. He was basically a millionaire. He was younger than what I was. I was 29 at the time, and he was in his early 20s, like 24, 25, maybe 27 maximum, and he was a multi-millionaire. So they gave, because they were bringing cocaine into Indonesia, got him and his wife got the death penalty. Well, he paid a half. He paid so much money to get his firing squad down to 15 years, and his wife's firing squad down to 7 years. And yeah, so they didn't die, you know. Yeah, so they didn't die, you know. I'm sure he'd be out now. I was the only Australian there. I met a lot of people from different countries, you know, and it really opened my eyes up to the world, what life's like and how hard it is to do in other countries. People will do anything for food, you know, food, just a bit of food, cigarettes, anything like that, you know. And anyway, we all, there's a lot. I became friends with a lot of people. You know, we used to kick the football. My brother brought me over a football, and I got pumped up. We used to kick the football in the yard. Huh? Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, I got a release date, and it was a countdown for the release date, you know, and then, you know, I was just waiting for that. Then I decided that I'd write a book because I'd been keeping a day-to-day diary of what had happened. You know, I can't read it to you out of the diary at the moment because a lot of it's in code, like how corrupt the police and the guards and all that were. You know, so if they had found it and read it, they would have taken it off me, and I would have lost it. So what I'm doing is I'm in the process of writing a book, and it's going to be the basic my hell holiday in Bali. So in the next 6 months, maybe it should take about 6 months. Keep your eye out for it on the shelf. You know, you may come across it. You know, I'll go into it. It goes into it a lot more. You know, I'm just recounting some memories at the moment. You know, just for you, you know, so you really know what it's really like over there. One of my friends, Benny, he had a mongoose. Mongoose is one where they attack snakes and that, king cobras. Well, he gave it a heroin addiction. It had its own syringe. I know a lot of people find that wrong. I found that wrong. And then in that girl's book that she wrote, you know, like when she was away and there was a big big kafuckus or whatever you call it, happening at Cobra Khan when she wasn't there. Benny was found hanging from his cell, from the toilet block cell, with his hands tied behind his back. Well, they say in the Asian countries that's how they do it. They tie their hands behind their back so they can't back out. But my friend, my boss, my best friend, I used to work for, he married a Thai girl, and he hung himself, and his hands were tied behind his back as well. So that's what makes me think it was my mate was murdered. Anyway, you know, I'd have you know, you'd have your coffee in the mornings, and you know, do a normal routine. You'd go for a walk around the prison. The prison had a basketball court and tennis court, which Michael had paid for out of his $4 million. But then he had to pay to use them. So he wasn't paying to use them as well after just putting them in there, which was wrong, I thought, you know. And you see the Bali 9 playing on them and that, you know, which I just don't understand. I wasn't there, so I don't know how that all aspired to become that. Them playing on the basketball and tennis courts. Yeah. Like I said, I started going to church and that, and they'd bring in once a week. You'd all throw in 20,000 rupiah a week, which is $4 Aussie, $5 Aussie, and they'd bring snapper in with chili rice, and everybody was given a massive portion of snapper, and you could take chili rice, and it was just it was delicious. It was delicious. I've eaten some of the best food I've ever eaten in that prison, believe it or not. Michael used to get 2 portions, like for adult portions, from a restaurant that did African food, and he would give me half of the second one and give the other half to whoever else, or sometimes he'd give me the full one, his second full one. And I walked in at that jail at 49 kilos, literally sitting on the bones of my ass. I was sitting on the plates of my ass, and I walked out at roughly 70 kilos. 3 months later, at just over 70 kilos. And they even took a Nigerian's weights off him because I was using them with him. And then when Kareem, his name was, asked why they were taking his weights off him, he goes, because of the Australians getting too big too quick. So they didn't want that. Because most of them were tiny, and I stood up for myself, and that, like, I wouldn't let them take me for money or anything like that. I used to pay some of the prisoners, like I'd pay the prisoners to bring the phone backwards and forwards to me for the day, so I could have a phone every day. I'd pay the prisoners if we were locked down. I used to pay one of the prisoners to get my heroin for me each time. I'd pay him 5,000 rupiah, and he'd make 5,000 rupiah for doing it as well. So in one day, he'd get his enough for himself for the day. Just from me, but I wasn't the only one doing it, so everyone was doing it. So they make 5,000 rupiah from 10,000 rupiah from every transaction, basically. And in the end, after I came home, I heard that the jail got raided, because the day I left, the guy that I used to hire the phone off at night time before I got my own phone during the day, he gave his girlfriend 8 ecstasy tablets to sell on the outside. And as she was going free on the day that I went free, the stupid girl was caught with them in the office of the prison, of the 8 ecstasy pills. And they said, where do you get them from? Where'd you get them from? And we'll still let you out. And so she gave up her boyfriend, so he had to go to court again. He would have done another 15, 20 years just because of that. there was a family in there, and the son got caught for selling heroin. And they said to the son, "Where did you get it from? And we'll let you go." He goes, "I got it from my mum." Okay, so they kept him in the police station. And they went and got his mum. And where did you get it from? We'll let you go. My husband. And they brought the husband in, and all three of them ended up in the same jail while they were conspiring to murder him. They were going to kill their son because he'd ruined their lives. Why couldn't he have just taken the downfall, and they would have looked after him? Like the life in Indonesia is however old you are, unless specified by the judges. So if you're 18, you get 18 years. If you're 20 years old, you'll get 20 years old for a life sentence. If you're 50 years old, you'll get 50 years for a life sentence. And a lot of them kill themselves a long time before they start getting sick and dying, because they know they haven't got much choice, like much chance of getting out or anything like that. They're just sick of doing it hard, and you know. And I used to feel so sorry for so many people. I'd look at them and think, what are you in for? Like that clothes were all ripped and wearing shaggy clothes, but they seem to keep the actual bodies clean. They'd wear dirty clothes, but their bodies were clean. The food would come around in a big cart on motorbike wheels. The rice that would come around in a big box, and everyone would run out to it, except me, of course, because I got my food brought in from the outside. They'd grab their share, and then they'd grab their vegetables, which would look like garbage to me, like something out of the rubbish tip, like that you'd vomit up. And then twice a week, a Saturday and a Wednesday, you get lentil soup. And I used to eat that. I used to eat the lentil soup. I didn't mind that, with a bit of salt and that. I enjoyed that with some. See, every foreigner in there gets a piece of papaya, 2 bananas, and 5 slices of bread per day. The jail's given 1,000 rupiah a day, which is 20 cents basically, and you get 2 ladyfinger bananas, a piece of papaya, and if you're lucky, the bread won't be mouldy. It'll just be stale. But some of the times you've got to pull the mouldy pieces of bread off. That was until I got shifted to another cell with Michael, the one that got caught with the hash in his scuba diving tanks. He had fresh bread every day. His mum used to bring him in fresh bread. And he'd let me help myself to the bread that was from the day before, because otherwise he'd just end up throwing it out, because he got fresh bread every day. So I didn't mind that at all. I was happy. I was happy with that. It was called Helgas. I was eating Helgas. And some night, at one stage, there was about 12, 13 of us, and we're all paying 200,000 rupiah each a week to have home cooked meals from outside. And just before I came home, I stopped doing, about a week before I came home, I stopped doing that, because I could buy mee goreng, not noodles, but mee goreng, which was lamb. Actually, it was goat, and it was in a hot sauce with onion and that. It was nice, quite nice. With you take it off the satay sticks, and you'd cut it up and you'd mix it up with the rice, with normal rice as well, and yeah, yeah. There's not a day that went by that I didn't smoke hash. Those tablets that I told you about, the guy gave me, I end up buying them every day, so I slept my sentence off. Unfortunately, I didn't get any pictures taken because they wanted pictures. The people that had the cameras wanted pictures for the photos. So I regret not buying them now. But I do have proof. I have the front page of the newspaper still. Yeah, I recommend that if you are hanging out from drugs and you want to go and get off it and go to another country, do not go to Indonesia. Definitely do not go to Bali. Go somewhere else. Actually, stay home. Stay home and do it at home. That's your safest place to do it. I was deported from Indonesia, so I don't know if I could get back in there or not. But yeah. Anyway, if anyone's got any questions out there, go ahead and ask. And I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Well, doesn't seem to be too many people that want to ask questions. Like I said, I'm writing a book, so it'll be a lot more. Like I said, this is my first live podcast, and I don't think it's gone too well. I actually needed help, but the person that would help me doesn't live with me, so they're at their own house, and I don't even know if anybody's watching me or not. Tell you the truth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off, and if anybody has seen it or wants to hear more, because there's a hell of a lot more I could tell you. Like I was locked up with the Bali bombers, M. Rosie. I nearly had a fight with M. Rosie. A couple of the Bali bombers I nearly had a fight with because of what they'd done. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to end it for now. It was good to get a few things off my chest. So I'll come back on again in another few days or so, and I'll tell you a few more weird and wonderful things that happened to me while I was in Coburg prison. So yeah, just keep an eye out or give me a shout out. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Yeah. Okay, I'll let you go. You have a lovely day. Thank you for your time. I don't even know how to stop it.